It gives me great pleasure to introduce our final speaker for today, Dr. Manoj Kumar Kini, Principal at Kerala State Institute of Design, Kollam.
Welcome to all my dear friends, researchers, scholars from all over the world. I'm so happy to be here with you today as part of this conference, which is being conducted by SRM Institute of Science and Technology, School of Architecture and Interior Design, who have been doing a commendable job in the sector of education since last how many years. I'm so happy to be a part of this conference this year. First and foremost, conferences are basically venues where I personally feel that those are the places where I learn a lot, where I come across a lot of research scholars, great academicians, new ideas, thought processes. And frankly speaking, it's not a very happy thing for me to be on a virtual mode. I seriously wanted to be there physically in the campus and meet all of you and be a part of you so that I gain a lot from you. So it's an ongoing continuing process for an academician to be in touch with the academic happenings and also the research happenings and findings, which is continuously evolving. And as far as I know, we are in a juncture. I don't know. I mean, being an urban designer, being an architect, and being into academics. I am teaching urban design in School of Architecture in Trivandrum, in the urban design program. And many times we do discuss about several issues that happen in and around us in the world, which is related to the cities. And here, last 1 year, we were all kind of, fixed into a place. We're not able to move. We're trying to be in the virtual world, trying to connect among us. Because I strongly believe that we are all human beings are all social beings, and we need social space to interact. And being alone is most fearful thing that anybody can go through in their life, which we have gone through, in fact, contained in places. So this containment, isolation, gave me a lot of time to introspect, to think about the various aspects of urban design. Think about the cities. In fact, many of my friends who were willing to come down, we were planning to meet. We had several functions being organized, several conferences, workshops, everything became stalled. We're not able to move. We're not able to know what to do. So, I mean, the perception of the world was changing. For me, it was very different. It was very strange. As I told you, this conference, for me, it's an opportunity. It's the first time I'm speaking in public after this long break. Future cities and what is it going to be? As we know that we are all back to life, everything has started moving. I don't know whether our cities are going to be the same. Some people say that, some researchers say that our cities are not going to change. Because of this, a lot of new opportunities are going to come up. The cities are going to be more active in future. Whatever it is, I am 100% sure that things are going to change. The perception about cities are going to change. Before coming to this presentation, first of all, let me introduce, I am Dr. Manoj, Kini. I did my graduation from College of Engineering in Toronto, and I completed my MArch in Urban Design from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. And I started my academic profession in the year in 1999, and after that, I was associated with SET University as part of my PhD program and also as part of the Urban Design Studio. And I was a founding member of the Urban Design program at CET in Toronto. And at present, I'm working as the principal at Kerala State Institute of Design under the Government of Kerala. So I will go to my presentation, and let me thank all the organizers of this wonderful conference to give me a chance to be with you. I really value it. Thank you. So Future Cities, a discussion on transformation post-pandemic situation. Today, it is more than a year since the first COVID-19 was reported in Wuhan City, China in December 2019. The pandemic disturbed the social, economic, political, environmental balances and the society's prime existential needs, pushing humankind to myriads of unprecedented challenges in every aspect. Realizing that we are not yet out of this historic global tragedy, we live in new circumstances with the active spread of new mutation of coronaviruses, experiencing the new normal at every social activity in the daily routines. The advent of vaccines gives us hope, and maybe the viral spread will cease, and the viruses itself will disappear from human societies. But the repercussions and the changes introduced during this pandemic years may remain. This understanding provokes us to envisage future cities where we are moving into, and shaping them for healthy living remains the topmost priority. The zoonotic viral spread has changed the cities, faced with people experiencing strict lockdowns, self-isolation, and social distancing norms. The situation report of 2020 speaks about that. Uncertainties and the life security challenges created fear and anxiety about the future. As cities were not designed to withstand such a blow, they will remain vulnerable to threats like pandemics unless we re-innovate urban design and planning according to the current needs. Uncontrolled and unplanned urbanization and urban spreads, the pandemic crisis, cities made up of and for the people realize that the growth is not infinite. We also recognize that situations are alarming to act upon the environmental and health aspects of living. The most affected are the vulnerable population of the cities and unprivileged people who occupy the lower tier of the basics of urban inequalities. Streaming out of cities, workers walked hundreds of kilometers to home in India. You might have seen that in many newspapers and videos, while many found a safe island within their homes. These massive migrations may affect the pandemic because of the better work prospects and the higher salaries they provided after the sudden population decline. Inadequate affordable housing widens the gap between the urban populations in the pandemic crisis, magnifying the essential need to address the crisis of space experienced in cities. For instance, Delhi, India's capital city, has a population density of 11,297 persons per square kilometer, with 1,797 densely populated unauthorized colonies, which holds 30% of Delhi's population. In addition to this, the current issues such as the absence of adequate, effective waste management, drainage, and transportation network system aggravated the need for a healthy living environment. The pandemic lockdowns created a rare opportunity to evaluate how transportation and other pollutions due to human activities affect the city's health and life and population. Evidences show that due to rapid climate changes and heating, the Arctic is warming up twice faster than the rest of the world, thawing the permafrost for the first time since the last ice age. It's a very serious situation. Potentially freeing pathogens, this occurrence may lead to unprecedented emergencies, which modern humans have never before grappled with it. If the freed viruses activate through a human carrier host, infecting and replicating the viruses, making a start of the new pandemic. It is interesting to note that due to the COVID-19 related lockdown, Global carbon dioxide emissions in 2020 have dropped to levels last seen in 2006. Optimistically, we can hope that the pandemic crisis and substantial impacts will lead to enlightenment, which could provide a clear pathway to address significant threats looming over cities and attain success in rallying support faster for transformative actions that might have taken longer otherwise. Cities accommodate more than half of the world's population and potentially more vulnerable with a high concentration of urban poor, wide, and deep inequalities. You can see it in every cities. Pandemic responses can only engender sustainable and healthy societies only if we address the issue, this particular issue. Urban inequality issues are a priority in both the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and the United Nations Habitat New Agenda, as you can see in the screen. A multidimensional experience of urban dwellers attending to the access to the services and incomes, recognition of diverse social identities, and inclusion in decisions that affect them. They demand a collaborative approach to balance economic and public health needs for future. Understanding how sustainable development goals can be incorporated using a health lens for future city designs is essential to cope up with the forthcoming demands. This is what a great lesson that we have learned because of this pandemic. The enormous damage to the local economies and global supply chains affected millions of people, leaving them in mental and physical distress. India is an excellent example of this, and a growing consumer nation got ample opportunities to realize the resources, knowledge, and skills generated in the country. However, it needs proper channeling and practical use for building sustainable and self-sufficient societies. Also, the rise in crime can be expected in the post-pandemic conditions unless we tackle the closer economic disparities and inaccessibility of services, poverty, homelessness, and other urban inequality issues exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. This prediction poses a high threat to society and life in cities and wants to take adequate measures and urban management policies to appease the situation. Another consequences of the pandemic restrictions in the change in consumer attitudes and behavior, and a few may even remain after the pandemic. Initially, the purchases were confined to the essential commodities and consumer services resulting from health and economic concerns. But this may shift and revert to the former, appeasing the damages that occurred due to the abrupt cessation of business. Viewing cities as hubs of commerce, flitting into business sector will have a considerable impact in the post-COVID scenario. Nevertheless, as the entertainment sectors and other commercial entities had been put to the standstill due to faster spreading rates of the viruses, they utilized this opportunity, and the entertainment sector showed a shift to digital platforms as the demands did not flutter much under the pandemic crisis. Pandemics can also be understood as an urban planning program, perceiving COVID-19 through an urban lends opportunities to understand urbanization's global role and its interplay with health. Emphasizing on the waste management and health factors pushes forwards a greater concentration on urban management, which is essential to provide zoonotic diseases. Through this, we anticipate a post-COVID city space, which we call the new normal. But does the post-COVID cities exist? This is a major question that I would like to pose here. The author, Helen Cockles, in the article, "There will be no post-COVID city," states that there will be no post-COVID city much different from the pre-COVID city by the prediction that the cities will survive, according to past viral attack and recovery histories of much worse viral attacks with higher death rates that has happened in the world. However, even though cities experience high turbulence and face difficulties, it does not signal total transformation to a post-pandemic city. Yes, the cities may not transform overnight, but lessons will be learned to respond constructively in an organized manner for similar future attacks to tackle non-traditional security threats to humanity. Disease-shaped cities. Yes, cities have thrived and grown amidst the aberrations and are continuously reinventing them, sometimes through a subtle transformation that is even hard to be noticed. Like every other disaster after the pandemic, the world will be different from the former and poses high chances to accelerate brewing changes in cities for a long time. The pandemic may change the face of cities, They will struggle to withstand the shock and remain resilient to similar future attacks. Urban density, as you see in this slide, has been pointed out as one of the risk factors in fighting the pandemic. However, on the contrary, it's interesting to say that a new study on density related to coronavirus infection and mortality rates released by Johns Hopkins University School of Public Health examined data for more than 900 metropolitan uh, counties across the US concluded the opposite. There is no correlation between density and infection rates. And interestingly, the higher death rates were observed in places described as the urban sprawl in dispersed development of urban areas. Swapping and relating density with crowding leads to the former assumption, which is in fact two different aspects that demand discussion based on viral spreads. Further substantiating, the denser areas are more likely to follow social distancing rules and precautions by utilizing accessible technologies and online services due to the uncertainty and fear instilled within. However, crowding can occur both in denser areas and in suburban and exurban areas, but due to the inaccessibility of proper services and healthcare infrastructure, it pushes the sprawl further into dangerous and vulnerable circumstances. On the other hand, the juxtaposition of the COVID-19 data by World Bank, World Health Organization, data on world rural population reveals that the nations with high urban population tend to experience more severe pandemic impacts, resulting in higher morbidity and mortality in comparison to the nations within a higher rural nations with a higher rural population. Overall, we understand that the urban planners and designers need not overrate the need for a paradigm shift in urban planning and compact community designs and cities. Instead of focusing on a holistic and sustainable approach advocating for denser, compact, and dense development that sprawls. However, the importance of the focus on disaster preparedness and safety measures are awarenesses in largely populated metropolitan cities can never be ruled out as they are more vulnerable to pandemic outbreaks than smaller metro areas. Population and employment opportunities increases densities of the city, and hence we need to tackle the issue of overcrowding and population through innovative design solutions for the sustainable functioning of cities. If the cities attain proper density management, even in cases like wide epidemic and viral spreads, providing incentives to stay in highly dense areas can reduce the risk and improve cities' safety and health with fair and effective use of available resources. Digitalization is never a new concept. A slow transformation of to digital platforms existed even before the pandemic with a much lesser acceptance, which may be due to the innate human nature of aversion to sudden changes. In contrast, the pandemic restricted social activities and movements and opened the possibilities of online platforms, gaining multiple fold acceptance and advancement in a short time. Education, banking, work, services, interactions, and communication shifted to digital avenues. And with the light of the experience, we have even initiated debates on the conventional system of work and learning methods. It's very interesting, in fact. We have even initiated, several new techniques in the classrooms where the teachers are involved in teaching students. In fact, we were seriously thinking in our institution about how challenging it is to teach design as part of this online education system. So, moreover, as the population experiences both advantages and disadvantages of digitization, an initiation by understanding both sides of the coin can be expected, leading to a smarter, sustainable, and healthier work and learning atmosphere in cities. Remote working employees work 1.4 days more per month as the recent study suggests. This trend can be perceived as a Hawthorne effect result, and it is unfair to neglect the influence of family environments, mental health issues, and other reflections of social inequalities on the remote working cultures. According to the Center of Urban Design and Mental Health, cities are associated with higher rates of most mental health problems compared to rural areas. Even though the pandemic has opened a new dimension to the work and educational sectors, it is necessary to address the existing issues and provide a healthier solution. Moreover, being in the spotlight and socializing becomes a need and are also vital factors to improve quality and productivity. As humankind is essentially identified as a social being, I'm emphasizing the fact that human beings are social beings. Work from home culture can also give rise to a projection that forces the decline of office spaces, resulting from the incomplete reversal of office work behavior due to the invention of better operation strategies in using modern technological advancements. According to a study carried out in Leicester, showed that even if work from home can save around 75% more energy, a 75% increase in carbon dioxide purely and only because of the need for heating or cooling and gas, electricity at home, which is still more than we intend to conserve through confining to work from home behaviors. It's very interesting to note this point. Moreover, a dense city center with adequate safety and management system can provide local commute to workplaces, substantially decreasing the carbon footprint and encouraging the implementation of pedestrian-friendly streets and sustainable transportation mode. Media is an indispensable vital tool that can support creating awareness and ease the process of implementing strategies at various levels of urban development and management. Change of users and the space functionality demands standards in terms of how retrofitting is not confined to new constructions perspective, but to perceive the spaces within to accommodate the new changes, adapting and solving the challenges raised during the pandemic. A fight to stay the same, dynamic constructivism is operated at various levels and realms of development. And this can be advantageous as it invigorates the capacity and abilities to adapt and appropriate and react quickly. The flexibility and adaptability are thus reinforced as the possibility in contingent and dynamic situations. Fundamentally, how we plan and operate our cities will determine the quality of life and health we experience. Urban planning and design for people and public health, rather than mere economic development, focus on humankind's present and future existence. The importance of environment responsive and sustainable concepts come under the limelight, demanding the eradication of urban inequalities. It would also ensure accessible, inclusive, and affordable services, including the basic needs as well as the technological supports necessary for meeting the demands of the post-pandemic work, education, and commerce sectors to everyone, devising better future cities. Disaster preparedness with a transparent understanding of the real issues and simple, robust solutions from the grassroots level is essential. It is very important to incorporate the local bodies and the people who have high potentials to contribute to such discussions. Discussing the need for preparedness to withstand impending blows in the future is also necessary to evaluate the extent of disaster preparedness and the city's ability to recoup. The planners and the governments will benefit from these understandings as the cities play a crucial role in the resistance and adaptation. Besides, at a global sanitary conference in 1851, many such norms and regulations were discussed. And the present scenario, this elevates to a prime concern, demanding identifying gaps in the current city planning and planning the underlying socioeconomic determinants of population health and devising action plans in order to provide services that can prevent, detect, respond to similar future outbreaks. Apart from the discussions on the general trends and predictions of the post-pandemic cities, understanding emerging urban realities is essential to capitalize on new opportunities and highlight alternative, cost-effective, and sustainable solutions for growing urban challenges. Deep and intrinsic planning are essential with practical execution strategies across the diverse languages of cities across the world, especially in democratic countries like India. With the most diverse land, culture, societies to retain vibrancy and the dynamic social, political, environmental, and economic interplays. In conclusion, confined living becomes the way forward in the post-COVID scenario. Urban living may be like somewhere between an apartment and a town in the future, where compact living with people opting to bike, cycle, or take public transport in a norm is a norm, largely comprising the distance. A possible model, a future city planned by the Italian architect Paolo Soleri in 1970s, blends ecology and architecture, envisioning Arcosanti, arcology, the utopian metropolis. Its ribbed walls made it possible to funnel through light and air into the spaces and promote a sense of community, as you see in the section. I was fortunate to be with Paolo Soleri and discuss this issue, this concepts with him at Arcosanti in US some time back. Its ribbed walls made it possible to funnel enough light and air into the spaces and promoted a sense of community. One might walk into this office or workshop, compose with one's neighbor, or walk into the thick of cultural activity where it had its faults, where it was the people who lived there on the structures and unadaptability. It offered a worldview that could alter the way we live. Envisaging a livable and workable reality of future cities suggests solving the challenges by exercising a collaborative approach with government support systems at local levels, without compromising on the essence of the global 2030 agenda of sustainability and imbibing and practicing the meaning of intrinsic local perspectives of sustainability, vibrance, and uniqueness of the cities without transforming it into the victims of homogenization of cities across the world. Pandemic highlighted global multifaceted change challenges that require multidimensional solutions and their executions. The practical approach with people as a prime concern calls for adaptation and reinvention of cities without reverting to the former scenario to work towards better, greener, healthier, and more sustainable cities. Besides, advanced public service investments addressing the equality need in urban societies are the foremost steps to improve the efficacy of sustainable development efforts. Moreover, as the pandemic severely affected the smaller and megacities, revealing the global interlinkages and imbalances within the different cities and different development strata. Hence, we understand that the holistic cooperative approach and design towards urban placemaking and management with practical and effective disaster preparedness plans to resist and tackle similar future outbursts of pandemics and catastrophes and is critical for developing sustainable and healthier future cities on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj Kumar Kini, for a wonderful presentation. We are happy that you could make it here today with us. We will now be moving on to take a short break to play our sponsor's video, and we'll be back with our next speaker.
Ultratech FireSafe helps in passive fire protection with its carefully chosen mixed constituents which can withstand high elevated temperatures. Central Building Research Institute CBRI Roorkee has certified Ultratech FireSafe with 2 hours fire rating to the system when tested in accordance with IS 3809 1970, reaffirmed 2002. Benefits to the end customer. First, low use of energy as concrete does not require mechanical vibrator, thus it saves cost. Second, it has excellent insulating from electrical, HT and LT cable. Duct sand gives extra life to the structure. Third, since it is lightweight, it results in considerable saving from the footings through the structural steel. Fourth, it helps in controlling the fire spread and its effect by providing sufficient fire resistance to prevent loss of structural stability within the prescribed time period of 2 hours or more. Thus, it gives enough time for the customer to evacuate and call for help in case of fire. Benefits to the applicator and technical influencer. First, Ultratech FireSafe concrete can be applied over a variety of bases, allowing architects and engineers ample flexibility in their design criteria. Second, this concrete is used for fire insulation of multiple products such as electrical, HT and LT cable ducts. Third, the application process is easy since it's a ready-to-use and easy-to-place product. Fourth, it is easily portable due to 40% lighter than normal concrete. Ultratech FireSafe is a vermiculite-based concrete designed for passive fire protection. It is delivered at site in the form of wet mix in buckets. This concrete is used to seal the cable ducts at floor levels. Before arrival of concrete at the site, formwork arrangements should be in place as per recommended procedure. This formwork is normally made out of plywood and bison board. The concrete shall be poured over these boards, which are fastened at the floor level. Concrete shall be laid in layer of minimum 100 mm thickness. After leveling and finishing the concrete, it shall be covered with tarpaulin sheets in order to prevent any cracking.